Welcome to MyMMA News Radio. Presented by MMA Signatures, featuring weekly special guests, ass-kicking interviews, fight results, and much, much more. Here are your hosts, Eric Kowal of MyMMAnews.com and AJ Hiller of MMASignaturesUSA.com.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of My MMA News Radio. I'm your host, Eric Kowal. I have AJ Hiller, as always, joining me, my co-host, and tonight in studio, Mr. Nick Massington. How you doing tonight, Nick?
I'm wonderful, thank you, sir. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you here. We got a lot to talk about. Later on tonight, around 9:15, Mr. Brad Kohler is going to be calling in. He's going to talk about that big announcement that he made over the weekend with gender wars. We're going to be talking about a man versus a woman, MMA. Yep, you heard it. That's right, man versus woman in MMA. So we're going to talk about that. First off, we want to thank our sponsors. We have Combo Hitter. Brad is one of our sponsors. He's going to be calling in. It's a system that he developed. Campbell's Tree Service. Why don't you talk a little bit about Campbell's Tree Service?
Yeah, there are 3 generations of tree cutting service, excavating. Free estimates. Give Andy a call at 570-595-2190. We also have Juice, located at 564 Main Street, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Great smoothies, great wraps. Check them out. Forza Sports. Go to forzasports.com. Use coupon code MMA News. Get 10% off of your complete order. And they have everything. You name it, from boxing gloves to MMA gloves to wraps. You name it, they have it. So check out forzasports.com.
And Pull No Punches Apparel. Visit pullnopunchesapparel.com. We also have drulo.com, 856-269-4567 for Yulo Chiropractic. So we got Nick in studio tonight. Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself for those who are unfamiliar with who you are and how you relate to the mixed martial arts scene.
Well, I'm an attorney here in Stroudsburg. I also have an office out in Palmerton where I live, and my son and my wife and my daughter and I have been running Rat Pack Fighting Systems, which is one of the first MMA gyms in the area. I got started in the whole business basically the night I saw UFC 8, however long ago that was. I was in my mid-30s, had done bodybuilding and some other stuff for years, and was really looking for something new. And the moment I saw that, and I saw those guys, I said, my God, if there's people out there that can do that, I've got to learn about this, because it just kind of scared the heck out of me that there were human beings able to do this stuff. So I started to follow the sport a little bit. It was difficult back then. You're talking way before the internet, way before it was a popular thing. It was really underground. My son was probably 5 or 6. He's 23 now. He started training. We started training, and ultimately we opened our own place 15 years ago, and we've been running it ever since. We've had every type of athlete. We've got kickboxers, we've got MMA guys. Right now we're really hot in jiu-jitsu because my son's very heavily into the submission grappling game, so kind of my guys are following him right now. But we're still in MMA very heavily. We've had some big names locally that have come out of our gym, and some big names internationally that have come out of our gym. I mean, Joel Roberts, for anybody that's been in MMA and PA, Joel Roberts is a legend because he's been doing it forever. He's fought everybody under the sun. I think last we checked, he fought 7 guys from the Ultimate Fighter throughout his career. And of course, our biggest claim to fame up until recently was Matthew Riddle came out of our gym and made it to season 7 of the Ultimate Fighter and went on to stay in the UFC for 7 years.
That's awesome. He didn't learn how to smoke dope out of your gym, right?
No.
I hope.
No.
Thank God, Nick.
No.
You're an attorney.
And we don't do that anymore anyway. That's
Thank
why
God.
we're going to the WWE.
I'm only kidding.
So that can't happen.
I'll tell you what, I've known Riddle a long time, and man, what a great person. What a talent. And I'm so glad that he's focused now and he's in the right direction, and going to be a superstar soon.
He will be. I mean, lightning will strike twice for the young man. I've said that from day one. He walked into my gym, and within 7 months was in the Ultimate Fighter. 7 months after that, he was in the UFC, and he stayed and only left because of other issues, you know, and he will do the same in pro wrestling. He's paying his dues. He's out there. You know, pro wrestling's an interesting sport because talent isn't the only determination. MMA, if you're the best, you go to the top. Pro wrestling's more like the army. You have to earn your stripes. You have to work your way up. It doesn't matter how talented you are or how popular you are. You have to put in your time, and that's what he's doing. Yeah. And I think he's doing a great job with it, and he should be. My guess is by this time next year, we'll be talking about WWE with him.
Yeah. And it's amazing because back then when Riddle went into the Ultimate Fighter, you know, back then it was
mattered.
It was and it was tough to get in. And for him to come out of a gym out of Palmerton, Pennsylvania, which just to get there you have to take 2 ferries and, you know, a train.
And that's always been the Rat Pack claim to fame. We've done it unaffiliated and without any big name sponsors or anything else. When Joel Roberts fought in King of the Cage, I think 10 years ago, nobody in Pennsylvania was fighting MMA. Right. Nobody had ever done this. We were the first ones. Our first fight was on pay-per-view. Right. It could have been great. It could have been bad. Luckily, it turned into a 43-second submission, and overnight we were kings. When Riddle came out of our gym, like I said, it was season 7. It's when it mattered. Right. It's when everybody knew the Ultimate Fighters, and everybody said, "Where is Palmerton, Pennsylvania? And what gym are you with?" And if you watch his first episode, he says, "You don't have to be from a powerhouse gym. You just have to be good." And now my son's trying to do the same thing. You know, I get calls every day. Why isn't your son affiliated? Why isn't he with Henzo? Why isn't he with this gym or that gym? And the answer has been, quite frankly, he doesn't need to be. Yeah. He's making a name for himself on his own.
And if you've ever seen Nick's son, D-Boy, he goes by D-Boy, he's on, like, those crazy videos where they say, you know, amazing people.
He's actually submitted them to, like, mixedmartialarts.com. Yeah, they're hundreds of thousands of hits.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he actually gets checks. You know, it's funny. We'll be home and just checks show up in the mail from videos that he sold. Unfortunately, his biggest selling videos, he's usually broken a bone or something of that nature, because his hand breaking video, I think, was his biggest one. So he does all the great MMA stuff, the jiu-jitsu stuff, the parkour stuff, and then when he breaks something, that's the one that usually goes viral and hits. But he loves it. He's been making the videos since he was a little kid, and he just pushes them out there, and lately they've started to hit a little bit. And like I said, they're not huge checks, but for something you're going to do anyway, if a check for $50, $200 shows up in the mail, it's a great thing.
It's crazy because 2 of our fighters out of our gym went and trained with D-Boy for a couple days for their fight, and one of the days they were cutting weight. So I guess D-Boy takes them up this mountain, like they mountain climb, you know, and the one guy's afraid of heights. So they get up on top of this mountain, and the fighter actually said, "Is there a helicopter that could come and get us?" I don't know where this mountain is.
It's right by us. We're right by the Appalachian Trail. Our gym is in Palmerton, and Palmerton is right off the Appalachian Trail. If you look at our gym, the background is a huge mountain. The Appalachian Trail is up to the right. And he's just one of those kids. He doesn't lift weights, and he doesn't really enjoy a traditional training program. I mean, I tell people D-Boy's been in the business since he was 6. He's 23. He's 22 or 23. I can't even remember how old my own son is. He's 23 last week. His birthday was last week.
Happy birthday,
He's 23. And I think he started taking formal jiu-jitsu classes. He's training with the guys down at 10th Planet, J.M. Holland and Zach Malzahn. He's training with them 2 days a week. Those are the first formal jiu-jitsu classes I think he's ever taken, and he started there about 6 months ago. Everything else was just putzing around and playing around and rolling live, and his thing always was, I can't show you how I do it, I don't know how I do it, but if we roll live, I'll do it, and you can try and figure it out. So now that he's taken the formal classes and stuff, I think he's going to really take off this year. I'm looking for 2018. If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to make a big noise at 23 and only 100, and he walks around at 140 pounds, so he can make whatever weight class he needs to.
That's cool, though. He makes these videos and then he gets some money off of them.
He
I remember back in like the high school days, I did backyard wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And first we started in a basement. We called it BCW.
What did you do it on beta?
Yeah, VHS. You actually had to put a tape in the recorder.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the old days. But yeah, we would make these tapes, and we would do all sorts of stupid stuff. Yeah. And then 3-4 years later, the Jackass movies come out, and these guys are getting paid $1 million for the exact same crap
I tell people all the time, I invented the UFC. We used to do tournaments in the backyard all the time. By the way, happy birthday to the UFC. 24 years ago, yesterday.
Yeah.
It was the first ever UFC. So, our Davey had a vision, had a dream, and put it all together. Just too bad he didn't capitalize on that $4 billion sale
he's
last
involved in the bare knuckle boxing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
that's
not sure exactly what stage they're in now. I know they held the trial earlier this year in Philadelphia.
That's awesome.
Good book if you haven't read it too.
Oh,
This book is a good book.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I actually had one of my friends was the photographer for the bare knuckle boxing, and Art was going to be there, so I made sure I delivered my book to him. And as I recall, his car broke down.
Who, Lance?
Yeah, Lance, and he never made it to the event. So his fiance brought my book back and said, "Sorry, he didn't go." So
I have 100 signed copies at my house. I had them at the MMA Expo that we had in.
I'll trade you one of my own. I'll trade my unsigned for a signed one.
Yeah, I bought 200 copies, and him and Sean Wheelock both signed the book because Sean was Sean actually wrote the book, the autobiography about Art Davie. So it's pretty cool.
So you said you're a lawyer there, Nick. What kind of law do you practice?
I practice divorce law. I've been a lawyer for 27 years. In fact, I think November 11th was my 27th anniversary. We're a 6-man firm at this point. We have everybody. The thing about my firm is everybody does their own thing. Everybody does something different. I've handled divorce and family law for 27 years. Happy to say that as of November 23rd of this year, I'll be married for 26 very successfully. So it can work as long as it works for me and not other people. That works out well.
Yeah.
It's been a weird dichotomy. Very quickly, I had an interesting year last year. My office in Palmerton actually burned down in May of 2016. So from May of 2016 to May of 2017, I had the pleasure of running my law office out of the back room of Rat Pack Fighting Systems. And I would actually meet with clients literally on a card table
At the
on a
gym?
chair at the gym in front of the boxing ring and whatnot. And that was very, very frustrating because you're mixing your worlds, And I always said I don't like fighters coming in when I'm practicing law, and I don't like law clients coming in when I'm trying to fight or training or what have you.
Yeah.
But it worked out. But yeah, it's a nice way to keep your foot in both worlds, and it's helped me out a lot. It's helped me help a lot of guys that got into the business, to the MMA business, into the gym ownership business, kind of give them some guidance from a business standpoint. And there's a few gyms out there that when they wanted to start their own gym, they'd see what we did. I'd help them out and get them started, and now they're doing very successfully all over the place. So
That's awesome.
It's been fun.
That is awesome.
So Brad Kohler is going to be calling in a couple minutes. We're going to be talking about that big venture you guys are partaking in. But real quick, let's before he calls in, let's touch on the whole Conor McGregor saga this weekend. You hear about this? What he did?
Yeah, this guy is always involved with something. You know what I mean?
Kind of like John Jones.
Yeah. But it was funny because Mike Goldberg actually said I got to call Conor's first
fight. Yeah,
first fight.
First appearance in the Bellator cage.
In the
I thought that was
Bellator
pretty
cage.
funny.
Yeah, that was definitely funny. But at the end of the day, this guy he needs to keep a low profile, because he's going to ruin his reputation, just like you said, John Jones, and he's inactive right now. I mean, he doesn't have a fight set up. I know there's a couple things in the works, but he needs to keep his nose clean.
So
See, I'm skeptical. I don't buy it. I think it's all set up. I think he's in the news.
Yeah.
I think Bellator's in the news bigger than they've ever been. I think it was brilliant. I think it was a great work, and I think it was well done. And there's no way that was not set up.
Well, the UFC is actually a little upset about this because number one, like you said, it gave Bellator press.
Absolutely,
Right.
Huge press.
Bellator capitalized on it. They even put out videos saying tune in because it was in Dublin, Ireland. They said tune in tonight, and they showed Conor in the cage. But here's the thing: they're talking about penalizing him, and even though it happened over there and for another organization, he was there as a civilian, a spectator, not a fighter. So they're unsure of exactly how they can punish him. However, they're talking about he was supposed to be headlining the UFC 219 card, and now he's not going. That's Brad right there.
This is Brad calling in.
Hey, Brad, you're live. We got AJ here. This is Eric. We got AJ and Nick Massington in the studio.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing, buddy? Now, is
Doing
this
well. How are you?
good?
So we got the big news you broke this weekend: gender wars. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this idea that you and AJ, kind of created here and what it's all about?
Well, it's about many things, actually. It's not just one particular topic. It's first and foremost, we're all part of, some of the old UFC fighters trying to still compete and not being able to. I mean, there's so many fighters out there and not enough promotions. There's just not enough promotions to keep these guys working. And what the sad thing about it is a lot of them, can't pay their bills. They can't, raise their kids, take care of their families, and they're hurting, and I mean no more than any other, some other families that are hurting in America. It's just these are like a fraternity to me, I mean, maybe something you guys don't understand about. I'm sure that I know AJ went to Penn State. When
we are
part of that alumni, and it's something when you feel people of that getting hurt, it touches you, and it's hard to do something about it. Well, I think I'd just like to try to do something about it by employing and hiring and keep these guys working one way or another, whether it's in front of the camera or on the mats in the ring, but promotions, small promotions can't afford them. They don't sell enough tickets. Most of the shows are amateurs, so it's they make most of their money on the amateur ticket sales, and because they have to sell tickets to get paid, or they don't have to pay an amateur. When it comes to actually bringing in a UFC veteran to either fight another one or someone worthy of, it's a big bill for some of these promotions. And
well, we're out of time, Brad. Thanks for calling in. No, I'm only kidding.
So you're putting on a fight card, and you've got a couple former UFC fighters, a couple legends in mixed martial arts, competing on the card. Who exactly is on the fight card that you're planning to hold?
We're cornering Travis View, which is he's a two-time UFC and Bellator. Travis View.
Did you ever see Travis?
Yeah.
He's huge. This guy's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, he is. He's an impressive guy. And cornering him is Big Daddy Goodrich.
Nice.
Yeah. So, in the other corner is, I believe it's 9-time UFC veteran Wes Sims. I mean, he's 6'10", 250 pounds. I mean, the guy's a big guy too. And in his corner, Hall of Famer. Actually, I'm sorry, the best heavyweight of all time, Mark Coleman. So, that's the semi-main event. As far as our UFC veterans go, we're hoping to add more to it for our next show. So, keep in mind, we're actually working on a 4-man tournament right now for the next show. We do have some people in mind. Phil Baroni's blowing up my phone.
Yeah.
So he wants to get involved. And a couple other guys that I'm not going to mention just yet, but there's a lot of guys out there that still want to compete.
Yeah.
So there is a method to all this madness. I mean, the big thing, of course, and Brad and I have talked about this. I mean, I've talked to Brad more times in the past couple months than I talked to my wife and my kids. Just trying to get this whole thing going, and this is like lighten the wick. We're trying to get this going, get the word out, and hopefully eventually having a Legends League. So that's why we're throwing these little things, and I think this one here to start it off, if I think you agree too, Brad, is there's no better way to get a word out about a new promotion than what the main event's going to be, right?
It's kind of a cross from a game show and a entertainment / sporting event. And so we call it a gimmick, call it whatever it is, but it's a real fight. Hands down, there's going to be no gimmicks to this. This will not be a China versus Jeff Jarrett situation. So, giving somebody a night to come out and potentially change their life, it's a game changer, man. And I think it's going to draw some attention.
So this is a man versus woman MMA fight, and according to the news that was put out, it's backyard rules. What exactly is backyard rules for those who do not understand what that means?
You want me to take that, AJ?
Yeah, please do.
You know, backyard rules is, you know, you see these fights out there fighting in the backyards, and you know, it's, you know, you don't want anybody jumping in. You don't want, you know, it's just one-on-one, no spectators kind of thing. Kind of like in the earlier days, you see the UFC, it's no rules. You know, one man enter, you know, two men enter, one man leaves kind of thing. And it's there's no cage, there's no rope, there's no ring. This is just an open warehouse and a mat.
How about gloves?
You go off the mat, you keep fighting.
Gloves?
It goes on until someone taps out. And there's 3-minute rounds, and then we'll do a minute and a half break. Hopefully we're going to create some action during that time, and during the break do some contests with the people watching. We're going to get that later on down the road and announce those. But the thing is, we want to get more fan involvement without the fans being there, you know.
So, AJ brought up a question. Are the competitors, they're going to be wearing MMA gloves?
Yes.
And the reason that I'm even bringing this up is because these are like a lot of the questions that we've been getting. You know, because when people see no rules, they automatically think no rules, you know. And you know what's crazy? And I had actually contacted an attorney just to get a little bit of advice to make sure that this was okay. I just found out today he's a divorce attorney, so all this information that I or the stuff that I got.
All I said was as exciting. What I said was, as exciting as this fight sounds, I want to be in the room when you call Greg Serb and pitch it to him, because that's going to be the real electricity, my friend.
So,
because you better be as far away from Mr. Serb as you can be, because he will tear your head off if he hears
without
this
a
one,
doubt,
my friend.
without a doubt.
I once pitched an 18-year-old versus a 26-year-old, and he told me I was insane. And they were both professional fighters.
I know.
He told me I was crazy. So I
And
can't wait till you tell him this one.
If you don't know who Nick is talking about, Greg Serb is probably, you know, by a lot of people, you look at him, he might be the best commissioner out there because he doesn't allow some of these, you know, fights to happen. But then, on the other hand, people look at him as the worst in the world. You know what I mean? Depends on which way you look at it.
He is by far one of the best. Yeah. He is a difficult person to deal with if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But if you do what you're supposed to do, I mean, I've promoted everything in this Commonwealth, from grappling shows to kickboxing shows to MMA shows, and he's never ever given me a hard time unfairly, and he's been good. But yeah, he would die if he heard this thing.
Yeah.
So, Brad, the fight card, January 12th in Russia. Talk a little bit about what's going on. Where are you allowed to reveal the location where it's going to take place exactly?
It's right outside of St. Petersburg, and little town there, and just in a warehouse. You know, it's
so no audience.
What's that? No audience, right?
Okay.
Right, and it's a kind of a cold building, from what I understand. There's not much heat, so it's another element there. And no, we're just like I said, going to put on a nice show. Offer it at a nice price, and see if we get some traction again to create some, you know, more fights down the road here. We'd like to do one every 3 months, like the old days, and keep continuing to make improvements. So, yeah, you know, it's we know it's a little risque, but hey.
What is the prize there?
It is $1 million grand prize to
$1 million.
The winner of the man versus woman.
So how does somebody go about entering this event, man or woman?
This week we're doing the women. Next week we're doing the men. So we're in search of the women right now, and I've already gotten 30-some. There's videos coming in of many of the ladies. I got people contacting me directly off my personal Facebook page and my business Facebook page, wanting to tell me they got some chick, and I'll tell you the same thing I tell them is, you know, I don't make the final decision. Brian Moore is helping with that, with Legends of the Cage. He's helping with booking future legends on this show. He's got a very direct contact with them. So what you need to do is go to our Facebook page, which is Gender Wars MMA on Facebook. Tells you exactly what to do. And what's funny is it tells you exactly what to do, but guess what people do? Now, do exactly what, answer 10 questions and send a video, you know? I don't want to hear about whatever. I just, you know, it's not my decision. So it's one of those things where, you know, just go on there, send it in. It gives you an email address to go to, which very simple, genderwarsmma@yahoo.com. Yeah. And then it'll be reviewed. We come up with a selection, and basically we're going to draw from a hat. We're going to come up with, you know, 5 or 6 qualified women that we think are badass housewives, and pick, you know.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing, Brad, and you know, both of us have been getting a lot of, I guess you could call, heat, but also a lot of positive through it, because the people who are giving the heat expect like a Brock Lesnar versus a high school cheerleader, and that's not what this is going to be. This is going to be a woman who trains MMA, a tough son of a gun, like a Chris Cyborg versus, you know, me, you know, somebody who's not active, somebody who's not in there training all the time. The goal is not to get the woman beat up. That's my goal is to see.
But it is a possibility that it can happen. It's an MMA fight.
However,
and you're talking about backyard rules.
Right. But backyard rules with a referee. There's going to be a referee.
So the fighter can't go and grab a shovel and hit her over the head.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Right.
Hey, by the way,
in the backyard, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Hey, we'd like to thank everybody who's watching. We have a lot of people watching right now on Facebook. We have a lot of people with comments. So thank you guys for watching. So when you hear backyard rules, this isn't you know, a video game or you know, just like you said, shovels and stuff like that. This is going to be like a fight, you know.
So obviously,
you know,
go ahead, Brad.
I had so many emails of potential fights, and believe it or not, it's more guys that want to fight women than the women. Women want to get in and win the money, okay? Right. Guys want to get in there and fight the women, okay? I've had some really good, and they're out there calling. There's a guy out of Connecticut right now. His name's Raymond Sherwood, heavyweight guy. He's calling out Gabby Garcia like there's no tomorrow. He's wanting to fight her, and he's willing to come on the show and do it. I mean, there's a guy in Chicago, Dion James. He wants to fight some Jasmine Duke. I mean, it's not like, you know, so there's guys out there that want to do this. I mean, but it's a game changer. But what we want to do is make this, our first show is a pilot show, okay, Eric? We want to do something where it gives that housewife that didn't get the chance to make it to the big time, but is a badass. Everyone knows it, and now it's a chance to prove herself. And you know what? Are we going to find, you know, Herbie the yellow belt in karate? Who knows? You know, we're looking for that candidate.
Yeah.
But this week we're in search of the toughest badass woman we can find. That is not a professional MMA fighter. We're not ready to bring the professional MMA girls against the professional MMA guys. We're just not that level yet. So we're looking for a badass, tough woman, tough man contest kind of thing. That basically we're going to try to make it as even as possible, and we're going to modify the rules a bit.
So how about this? We get a lot of calls too, and a lot of questions about whether or not it's a professional or an amateur fight.
It's an amateur bout.
Right.
This is purely a contest exhibition.
Yep. So at the same time, you know, because I mean, how cool would it have been if we got a call from Gabby Garcia or a call from Chris Cyborg? Because when you talk about
Chris Cyborg's under contract with
right,
UFC.
And see that's the thing, but they're both professionals as well. So this,
right,
you know, not being
we're not that ready. We're not
right.
ready for that.
Right.
We want to again. Our main goal is to, you know, hey, look, you know, we're not a Bellator, we're not a UFC. We can't afford to put on a circus out there and pay these clowns to come out there and take up space for the guys that really do train to fight in this sport. You know, other than like, you know, I mean, I think about that Kimbo Slice and that big fat ass 5,000 guy that got out there and almost had a heart attack. We want to have legitimate, fit people that, you know, like American Ninja Warrior, you know. You think of all the women in society today making the strides to compete with men, and it's crazy. You probably haven't heard of half of them. You know why?
So where's the $1 million coming from? Is that from sponsorships?
It's actually
it is. It's from sponsorships and a couple businessmen who have invested in the show. Yeah.
And you know what's even cooler is they've invested for 3 shows. So
right.
These people are
we're guaranteed 3 shows.
Yeah, they're backing us for 3 shows.
So and Gender Wars is the name of the promotion.
Right.
Yes.
So will you be doing a man versus woman type fight on every card, or
we've talked about a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
You wouldn't be talking to me if I was just putting on a regular show.
Yeah. But we've even talked about a tournament.
I mean,
a tournament style.
Yes.
So this is going to be broadcast on inplayer.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
It is.
And
it is.
do you happen
to
to
have the link up and everything next week to start promoting the link and where to get it? We're finalizing that page right now.
And do you know what the pay-per-view price is going to be?
We're looking at $8 or $9.
So pretty inexpensive, $8 or $9.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be live. So I don't know how many hours ahead is Russia. Probably 10 hours, 12 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Something like that.
8 hours.
8 hours.
It was 8 hours, yeah.
So I guess you guys are gonna be doing that. What is it gonna be like nighttime here in the U.S. or?
It's gonna be 8 Central.
8 Central. Okay.
Here, yeah. So we'll try to keep people on our time here as we bring them in, and then we're trying to find a European guy and an American woman kind of thing, and you know, not to knock anybody, but those European guys in those tight pants, they got to be a lot more feministic than us, right?
You said it, Brad.
I'm just kidding, man.
So, one more thing before we let you go. You know, we put out the news about this, and you know the feedback's been kind of, you know, some good, some bad. Like we said, a lot of people thinking it's going to be, you know, a big guy going up against a woman doing some harm, because it is an MMA fight. Anything can happen. Somebody can get hurt. But what do you have to say to those people that are kind of on the fence about this, or think this is a completely negative thing, it's something that shouldn't happen? What do you have to say to that?
Well, you know, for those people, you know, first and foremost, if you know, I understand your concerns, and I truly do appreciate that. I mean, I remember in the early days when it was called human cockfighting, and it's evolved so much since then. And you know, people are training at much more higher intensity than they used to be 20 years ago. You know, so what we're going to do is modify the rules to protect each athlete. So each athlete will have, you know, male have more like sport jiu-jitsu rules, where it's open hand strikes maybe, so it doesn't look so brutal. Some guy landing blows down on some chick, or you know, this, that, and another. And for the woman, we're going to stick with strict MMA rules. So this guy's going to have to learn to defend himself over a chick that wants to beat the crap out of him. And you know, it's that's what martial arts is. It's about, you know, seeing who's tough as a different sport. So that's what we're different martial artists. So that's what we're going to try to do. So
what you're saying, the man cannot punch the woman. It's going to be like submission.
We're going to actually go sport jiu-jitsu on the bottom.
Okay.
So it'll be full punching on the feet, and sport jiu-jitsu on the ground with no elbows. So, but I tell you, you should see some of the applications and videos I get. These women are animals. I got like 30 in the past 2 days, and this is before we even fully announced it like tonight. So I mean, it's been overwhelming, and you know, we're going to have those people, but with the 40,000 reactions that we've had, it's been about a 90% approval. So I mean, it's just one of those other things that, look, I'm not looking to get anybody hurt. I'm looking to build another show that's entertaining for the patrons, and it's safe for the athletes.
Now the next one,
I think that's, what's that?
We've talked about, Eric, and we didn't even release this, but we're talking about transgender wars now.
You guys.
Well, Shamrock and Caitlyn Jenner can't make it.
You guys are just.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, man.
I'm gonna need therapy after this. But,
Come on, man.
But okay, well, I mean, you clarified some of the concerns that I personally had, and I saw some of the people were having. Now that we understand the rules a little bit better, I think some people might open up to this a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's January 12th in Russia, and it's going to be on inplayer.com, and you're accepting applications right now at, what is it, genderwarsmma@yahoo.com?
Yeah, or just go to the Facebook page, Gender
Facebook.
Wars MMA. And just so everybody knows, I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. I have a mother. I have a lot of female friends. The last thing in the world that I would ever want to see, one, is a woman get hit. All right? I am not pro.
I'm the president of my daughter's booster basketball.
Yeah, yeah. So don't think that this is anything more than, we're just trying to do something different.
Yeah, I think you guys, there was a lot of concern up front because not a whole lot of information was really given as to what the rule set was going to be.
Yeah.
But you did clarify a lot of that. So January 12th, $1 million on the line, inplayer.com, and follow the Facebook page, right, for more information.
Yeah.
Gender Wars on Facebook.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Appreciate your support on this. Next week, we're going to announce the female contestant and begin our search for the male.
Yeah. Good deal.
Right, well,
we appreciate you bringing on, Brad, and
Thank you.
I've like I said, we talk several times a day. And did you have anything else that you wanted to say before we hang up?
I just thanks to the fans. Without them, this sport wouldn't be where it's at today. Again, as a former fighter and a business person and a father of daughters, AJ, I know you're a very respectful businessman and family man. This is, again, we're going to look out for the safety of the athletes, and try to put on a really good show. But we want it to be exciting, too. We want you guys to see that it's, this isn't pro wrestling. This is the real deal. We plan on having, some good bouts. We're bringing out the heavyweights. We're planning a 4-man tournament. We want to get these UFC legends back in the cage. We want to have some kind of a contest. We want to give somebody a chance to change their life. This is the show.
Yeah. And picture this. Who knows? Gender Wars 2, we may have as a co-main event, like a Don Fry versus, I'm just using these as examples, a Mark Coleman.
Battle of the wheelchairs?
Yeah, absolutely. Or Ken Shamrock versus...
Bring up the Pens. They'll sponsor the event.
You guys should get into midget MMA.
Yeah, midget MMA.
I don't even know if midget is the correct term anymore.
No, it's
little
small
people. Little people.
Or even...
guys, let's stick to the, stick to the
let's not do anything
there's
rash.
So many contradictory shows out there, and I just, God bless the guy that did it with no legs. God bless the guy that did it with one arm, and God bless the guy that had Down syndrome that went out there and proved himself and put his mark on the world. God bless those people, Don't let someone stop their dream.
Right.
They want to go out there and make a goal and go for it. You can't stop a person from doing that. We just want to help someone change their life, and this is the opportunity.
Well, $1 million will definitely change somebody's life.
You're absolutely right.
We appreciate you calling in, Brad, clarifying some of the concerns that people were having, and we look forward to talking to you more about your show on January 12th.
Thanks, Brad.
Great case. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we were just talking with Brad Kohler about the gender wars. Big news that broke this weekend.
Yeah.
January
What do you think?
12th.
Well, I think for me personally, what's more interesting is Brad's concept about the bringing back the old UFC guys. What I've always found in this sport, I'm not a sports guy. If it doesn't involve 2 people in a combative situation, I don't watch it. I'm probably the only American born and raised male of my age. I'm 52 right now. I've never seen a football game. High school or otherwise or professional, I've never seen a complete football game. Just can't sit through it. I've probably seen 2 basketball games and maybe 10 baseball games in my life. But what I always notice about the other sports is there's a history, and the guys respect the history.
Right.
In this sport, for some reason, a lot of the younger guys coming up don't seem to respect the history. I'll bring up, you just mentioned Don Fry.
Right.
Well, Don Fry, to me, was the reason I got into this sport. Don Fry, to me, is still the greatest competitor was ever in this sport. Yep. And I'll say to the kids, you have to go back and watch Don Fry versus Tank Abbott. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds of this oh no, we don't care about that, blah blah blah. If it's not a heel hook and and an upside Oshi, something, blah 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 blah, they don't care.
Right.
Whereas Ken Burns did the baseball series. I watched the Ken Burns baseball series. I've never seen a baseball game just because the history is so important. So what to me, the female male thing's interesting. I think it all depends on who you do it with. But to me, what's more interesting from that standpoint is Brad himself. I mean, one of the first original walk-away knockouts in UFC history.
Yeah.
Guys don't... I remember he was at your last boxing matches.
Right.
And I was saying to my guys, do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? And no.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Trying to explain to them, how do you be in this sport and not know these things? Whereas there are kids that are 12 years old that can tell you Babe Ruth stats from whatever years ago, and a lot of our younger guys, they just don't care.
Yeah, it's crazy because Hoist Gracie could be walking in the mall, and people wouldn't even pay attention to this man.
Exactly. Well, and I tell you, he was at Bellator the other night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just nobody was really there. It's kind of became. I went out to the Arnold Classic 2 years ago, and there was the guy that just died, Penna, or whatever his name was, real big
guy,
big juiced up.
Yeah.
I forget his name. The guy, big jacked up guy, YouTube sensation. Literally a line outside the convention center and around the block to meet this guy.
Wow.
25 feet away, Lee Haney, 8-time Mr. Olympia, standing there by himself. Yeah. I went over and talked to him, and I said, excuse me, you're Lee Haney, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and it was just amazing. Nobody wanted to talk to him. They wanted to talk to this YouTube guy.
It's amazing.
And I think that's how it is with a lot of the older UFC guys don't get the respect they deserve. And a lot of the guys don't recognize that but for them, you would not be here. It's like Diego Sanchez fought the other night. I mean, Ultimate Fighter 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. The guy's still out there fighting. He was in Ultimate Fighter 1, and he's still there. So I was very intrigued by the idea of bringing back some of the old guys to at least be involved in the sport and be around sport, and that would be exciting.
Yep.
The male-female thing, I'm an old-fashioned Italian. I'm still uncomfortable with female MMA in general.
Yeah.
Always have been. Not a sexist thing. They're amazing athletes. They're great. I just, like you just said, I have a problem. I'm ugly. If I get hit in the face, I can't get any uglier, it's like my daughter always used to say, why is Dylan allowed to have 33 tattoos and you get mad if I get one? I said, look at you and look at him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's a difference.
You have 2 good-looking kids, too, so what the hell happened here?
I got another one.
You have 3 good-looking kids.
I was going to say, no, I've only got 2 kids, but...
you just said you had another one.
No, when you said I had 2 good-looking ones, I was looking for the third one. I know, I've got
one. But yeah, I mean, congratulations on everything that's going on. The Rat Pack fighting
we're going to do some more stuff together this year, you and I.
Without a doubt, and I'm looking so forward to that because at the same time, you're a pioneer in the MMA gym. I'm just brand new at this.
Well, I got in the business at 36. First time I ever stepped foot on a mat, I was 36 years old. So it became very clear very quickly that being an athlete was not going to be my future in this sport. But because of my law background and because of my business background, I've got a couple other businesses. I've always tried to bring, so that's why I got into opening the gym. Yeah. That's why I got into promoting. We promoted my partner and I promoted the second MMA show in PA. I was telling you the other day, I bought a $5,000 ring. 22-foot ring, beautiful. 6 weeks later, Greg Serb passed a rule, no more rings in MMA. So, you got to change with the times. We did kickboxing. We did some of the first grappling. I did the first pro grappling shows in PA. My second Gym Wars show, we had 465 paying spectators at a grappling show. I don't think that's been done before.
No,
or
they don't
since.
get that at Matamoros.
Yeah, I mean, we well, we did it right. We had it at a hotel. There was a bar. There was a buffet. People came. They got rooms. They stayed. It was a party. It was huge. Right. Now the rage is the sub only stuff. I did a small underground sub only show last year. It went beautifully. That's what I want to do this year because I like the format. I just don't like the Eddie Bravo overtime rules. I think they're unfair.
I think they're a little confusing to some people too.
They're confusing, but I think they're also unfair because they put certain combatants in a position that they've never been in before. So now you've got guys strictly training the rear naked, or the seatbelt position and the spiderweb position solely in case they make it to overtime. That's the only reason they're training those positions, because these guys might not naturally be ever put in that position.
Right.
And I think I think there's an advantage in both of those positions for the bigger guy. Bigger guy, taller guy is going to tend to have a great, especially seated from the back. I mean, I'm 5'4" on a good day, so I know what it's like to be behind somebody and have to especially I'm 5'4", 210 pounds. So everybody I roll with is bigger than I am. So I think there's an opportunity out there for us this year to do some type of really nice sub-only show with nice cash prizes. But as far as I'm concerned, sub-only is sub-only. You got 10 minutes, you don't sub, it's over.
Yeah.
There is no overtime.
That's
it's
a
done.
great
You
idea.
want the money, you get it done.
Just like the one that we did. Remember we did the tournament at the at my gym.
Your place, yeah.
You know, and Steve Wilson, who's amazing. He's up at Scranton MMA.
Amazing athlete.
Yes.
That guy's an absolute freak athlete. Nice kid too.
Yes, real good
nice
kid. And he wasn't sure of the rules.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, what happened was, he submitted, I think it was Andrew, 2 times in a certain amount of times, minutes. But then Andrew, I forget what happened, because it was all due to time.
It was the ride time.
Yeah. And in reality, Steve had submitted him more times, but Andrew lasted longer, so Steve lost the match.
It is confusing, and
Yeah.
you mentioned the combat jiu-jitsu from last night. Now, I found that amazing. I thought that was fantastic. Congratulations to J.M. Holland out of 10th Planet in Bethlehem, a local guy that got invited into the tournament, put on a hell of a show, and really looked good. But I don't think they knew the rules. I'm pretty sure Eddie was making the rules up as they went along, which is understandable.
He's known for that.
I didn't watch
it's his first show, but I'm pretty sure some of this stuff was being crafted on the fly.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I was getting messages from people saying, "Hey, are you watching? What's going on now?" It seems like the referees were being told during the event, like,
but
"Hey, these are the rules."
One thing they did that I liked was for the preliminary. Now, I didn't make it to the finals because I'm an old man. I have to go to bed, especially on a Sunday night. But they limited the overtime round to 1 round at least, because what everybody else is doing is these three overtime rounds. It's all on ride time, so you can conceivably ride forever, and we could be there forever. I mean, ultimately, if you want submission grappling to grow, if these guys want to continue to make money, sure. Is Gordon Ryan going to get a million views on whatever you put him on? Of course he is. Kid's the greatest submission fighter in the history of the earth, and I know people will get mad at me for saying that. I've known the kid since he was young. I saw him when he was 15, 16 years old, and my son and I both looked at each other and said, "Oh my God, what is that?" Right. Now he's young. He's the same age as my son. He's actually a little younger than my son. So we were just looking at another kid his age and just said, "Oh my God, what is that?" Kid's the greatest fighter out there. So sure, if you put him in a show, you're going to get likes, you're going to get buys. But if you want to sell submission grappling to the spectators and to the world and actually get these guys making money on a more consistent basis, you got to put on a show. Yeah. 3 rounds of overtime after a 10-minute fight where most of these guys, and I'm not pointing fingers, most of these guys are just stalling the 10 minutes to get to the overtime.
Right.
That's all they're doing is they're riding the 10 minutes because they want to get to that overtime because they're good at the overtime rounds. You're boring the hell out of people. I won't pay to watch it, and I'm in the business.
So what happens after 10 minutes, there's no submission? Both done?
In the tournament I want to do, I want to do a team tournament. 5 weight classes.
Yeah.
1 person from each team in each weight class plus a lady. And we'll have a women's weight class in the middle range.
Oh, Nick's calling out. We're gonna have women fighting guys now. No, I'm only kidding.
Well, there are some great grappling women out there. Sam Fisher, Andrew Kochell's girlfriend, she competed in my last sub-only tournament. She was the only lady there, and she went almost to the top.
You know what I love about this concept that you're talking? This is the first time I'm hearing this concept, and a concept from you. I've talked about this forever. IFL.
The now defunct IFL?
Yeah, IFL would have been, I mean, they were before their time because their concept was genius. Think about, you have your teams, each weight class.
Right.
You know what I mean? That would be absolutely amazing today. Even if they did it in the
submission
UFC.
only is a misnomer.
Yeah.
It's not submission only. It's submission only if you do it in 10 minutes, otherwise it's a 3-round overtime where we're going to start from this. But that's not submission only. To me, submission only is you've got this amount of time, get in and get your job done.
Yeah.
The other concept that I had, which everybody hates, but they've always hated most of my concepts, was, in chess, I don't know chess, but I understand that there's 2 versions of the sport. There's standard chess where they can sit around literally for weeks moving 1 piece a day, and then there's speed chess. You've got this amount of time to make your next move.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a tournament someday where the time limits are incredibly shorter.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 minutes to get in and get the job done.
Right.
All these little leg lock guys running around right now, if you can't get in there in 3 minutes, so get in and get it done. And I think if both combatants are coming with the idea that it's sub only, and this is the time frame, you're not going to see guys stall. You're not going to see them lollygag. You're going to see them get to work, try and get in there and get it done. And so
I think that it pushes the pressure to get the fight down to the ground and get the submission. I watched a video the other day of 2 black belts going to get up against one another, and it took, I think, 7 minutes. 7 minutes they were in gis to get the fight down to the ground. They were just holding on to each other's
And that's
collar.
an amazing skill, and it's an amazing talent.
It's skill,
but nobody wants to watch it.
Exactly.
We don't want to watch it, and we're here doing a radio show about this sport, and we don't want to watch it. If I'm bored, imagine what, and that's why when I did my pro grappling show, that was what amazing about, I think with Gym Wars too, with all these people, there was probably 25% of the crowd was MMA guys and fighters. Yeah. It was general public. And they were coming to watch a show, and they were coming to watch stuff, and we kept it moving. Got a lot of crap about the rules, this, that, and the other thing. They said, oh, you're just trying to sell tickets. And yeah, I'm not trying to sell tickets for me. Quite frankly, I don't need to make a living off the MMA business. I have another job. I'm trying to build the sport to a point where people will want to pay and come watch this stuff and be excited. I love the finishers tournament that the guys are running. It's fantastic, but I know who everybody is. So I know the inside story, and I know what I'm watching. If you want to get the general public involved, we've got to make it more exciting. And the way to make it more exciting is, hey, $2,000 on the line, guys, but here's the deal. No overtime. If you don't get your job done, you're out of the running.
What would you do, 5 minutes?
Oh, I'll do 10 minutes. I don't care about the time limit. Get it done.
Yeah.
No overtime.
It will bring the best out of these guys.
On the team tournament I'm talking about, it would be round robin. Everybody from every team fights everybody from every other team. If you submit, and yeah, I would do something like 5 on that because you got too many matches to go 10. If you submit in regulation, you get the point. If you don't submit in regulation, you don't get the point. And whatever team has the most points takes the prize money. $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever it is. They split it up over five people. It's a good concept.
It's an awesome concept. Awesome concept.
So before Brad called in, we were talking briefly about the Conor McGregor situation. So it appears that the UFC's intentions were for him to headline UFC 219 December 30th.
Up in Boston, right?
No, December 30th, the New Year's Eve show.
Oh.
So it would have been, I believe, a Las Vegas card. It's usually in Vegas. It was never fully announced that he was doing that, but that was their intentions. And now the ABC official that was there in Dublin is saying, no, it's not going to happen. Conor's going to be punished, and the UFC, they're going to leave it to the UFC to punish him. But right now, the plan is, as punishment, to not let him do that, not let him fight.
Is that even ethical?
Well, here's the thing: the UFC makes more money on Conor McGregor than anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody on their roster.
Right.
So, are they really going to say, no, we're going to punish you and ourselves and not let you fight?
Absolutely not.
No way. So, I see maybe, there's no actual punishment yet. Nothing's been set in stone. But I see this being something like with his can throwing incident, where he's got to do some kind of speaking, a public service announcement. Do not slap officials or something like that.
If not, you'll see him signing up for gender wars.
I think it's a work. I think it's brilliant work. I think he's good at it. Conor is a great MMA fighter. Is he as great an MMA fighter as his reputation? No, he's not. He's not been around long enough to. The guy's the household name with people that don't even know what this sport is. Yeah. That's crazy. And you were talking about John Jones and him settling down. There's a big difference. Everything Conor does is calculated. Yeah. Everything Conor does is literally, and I like it. Hey, I'm a huge WWE fan. Always have been. And I've always liked the spectacle of Bellator. We were at Bellator last week with Brett Martinez. Yeah. I said, wow, the walkout is better. The
Amazing.
music is better. The graphics are better. I like the old Pride.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, half of those fights were rigged. Of course they were, and they were fantastic. First time I met Don Fry was, oh my God, I was going back UFC 20-something at the Taj Mahal. And I sat between Don Fry and Mark Kerr. And my son was a little kid back then. I bought a T-shirt, and I said, Mr. Fry, nice to meet you. Can I get you to autograph the shirt? And he said, sure. And he signed it. I said, it's for my son, Dylan. And he said, how old's your son? I said, I think he's 7 or 8 or something. Now, this is a time when you went to the UFC, everybody looked exactly like me. Bald, ugly, tatted up. That was it. There were no kids, no women. There was nobody. It was just a testosterone-filled mess of people. And Don Fry goes, oh, you let your little boy watch UFC? Isn't it a little violent? And I said, well, I tell him it's fake. He leans over, puts his arm around. He goes, some of it is, my friend. And he pats me on the back, and he walked away because this went back in Pride.
Yeah.
He still loved that. I think Conor's taken advantage of that. He's brilliant. I think this was all work, and I appreciate the effort because guys, we're talking about it. My son came home. Did you see what Conor McGregor did? I hate that guy. Blah, 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 blah. I said it's a work. Yeah. And if anybody's going to do a work like that, Bellator is going to be involved.
Oh, without a doubt.
Bellator is going to be involved. I mean, those guys love a show.
Yeah.
They need it. They need a gimmick, and that's why they're doing the gimmick fights.
I wonder what's Conor's contract right now with the UFC.
I doubt he has one.
I mean, is he?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's been negotiable. It's like one of them. He did that thing with the boxing. It's kind of one of those. I think he might be signed to like a certain amount of fights.
Right.
But the money is always going to fluctuate.
Right.
Certain amount of fights if he fights MMA.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if he doesn't fight MMA, if he does something different, then he gets out of the contract that way. That's the easy way to get out of the contract. I mean, I remember, when Riddle was making the switch to pro wrestling, we had to look at his contract. I think it was Titan or somebody at the time, and you can't fight anywhere else MMA. Okay. Yeah. I had no intention of fighting MMA. We're going to a different sport, so it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know why he would fight again personally.
Conor?
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to. He's got more money than he can ever spend. You've got to remember, he's not living in Los Angeles. He's living in Ireland, and it's pretty simple living over there. You could live like a king for the rest of your life. His children can live like a king.
He's going to have sponsorships and endorsements
so why would you do it
for
again?
The rest of his life anyway.
Why would you go back and risk tainting your MMA reputation and your MMA legend?
I think the biggest thing is in his mindset, everybody keeps saying, you've never defended a belt. Ever. So, it's one of the things where he thinks that he has to do it. Might not be the smartest thing. He might make $10, $20, $30 million in the process. He's not going to make as much as he did with the Floyd fight, but I think he just wants to. But anyway, we're just about out of time. Man. Time flew tonight. But
too fast, Terry. Terry, were you speeding up the clocks or something like that? I thought we turned the clocks back last week. Man.
But we appreciate Brad Kohler calling in, kind of clarifying some of the concerns there with the gender wars, and
I want to be at his daughter's basketball game when Brad Kohler shows up.
I know.
Good God, that is a beast of a man.
And you know what's great? I think he's like 5'3".
Oh, I bought one of his things with your last boxing show. I got a picture next to him. I look like his left arm.
Yeah.
And I'm no skinny mini.
Right.
And we're about he's about my height. He's probably about 5'4", 5'5".
Yeah.
Depending on the day. But God, what a beast.
Yeah. But hopefully, Nick, and I know we've talked. We could have you back very soon.
No, I'm happy to do this anytime you guys will let me. There's various podcasts out there. I listen to all of them. I've always been interested in doing one. And when I saw you on Facebook the other day, you and I have been friends for a while now. We've got some stuff we want to do together. I thought it was a perfect opportunity. I'm happy to do it. I've got so many stories, my friends. And the one thing that's nice about me is I've got the stories and I'm not afraid to tell them.
Exactly.
Because I don't have to make a living off of this business.
That's right.
My gym is a labor of love. My involvement in the business is a labor of love. I make my living elsewhere. I try to support a lot of local fighters and get them where they need to be and give them some financial support here and there. But I can offend anybody in the world and not have to worry about it because nobody can really shut me down.
That's right.
And that's the nice thing.
And that's what we love about you, Nick.
Well, I don't know if anybody loves me.
Yeah. If you don't follow Nick on Facebook, let's bombard him on Facebook because, if you're not at 5,000, if you're not at 5,000 followers by tonight, there's a problem. But Nick is funny. I mean, if you see some of his things, you'd be like, he's a lawyer?
Yeah.
You know?
Try and keep that quiet.
I know. But, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Brad, thanks for calling in. And, guys, of course, thanks for everybody who watched, and listened to GenesisRadio.com. It was an awesome show tonight. And
We'll see you next week.
yeah.
All right.